So, do you want to cause a little trouble?
Doesn't everybody? That's the best part.
Nobody gives a
I kind of like it. Danny. Danny. You okay?
It's just a bad memory.
It's in the past.
I hope so.
Welcome back, everyone. It's Charlie. Marvel released a brand new Daredevil Born Again Season 2 trailer with a whole bunch of new footage. There's been a lot of talk about Iron Fist and Luke Cage coming back. I know people are asking about Colleen Wing now. Did they get snapped? What happened to the other Defenders characters? What's going on during Season 2 and Season 3? If it does seem like they're going full Defenders again, like they're bringing all the Defenders back by Season 3. So we will break it all down. It's like Kevin Feige and Marvel have gone full Anno and they're doing a rebuild of Evangelion in the MCU, rebuild the Defenders. Part of the reason why Marvel is bringing all the Defenders back is because they realize that the future of Marvel TV going forward is a completely different strategy, and it feels a lot more like classic Marvel TV back during the Netflix Marvel era and Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. era, the ABC stuff. The old version of Marvel TV was kind of split across a couple different networks. Marvel Netflix was one of them, ABC was like the other big network, but there were others on other networks like Runaways on Hulu, as well as Cloak and Dagger on Freeform, so you get the idea. Basically, Marvel's slowly bringing back all these different characters in different ways. It's just a question of when, not if they're all coming back. The only thing I don't like about this is that sometimes Marvel releases these trailers in weird vertical formats on like Twitter and other networks, so please Marvel, don't do that. Just release like a regular framed trailer. It's way easier to talk about this and screen cap this. Just starting at the beginning of the new footage and working your way through shot by shot, talking about Easter eggs, WTF moments, then more Iron Fist, Luke Cage, Defenders stuff, Season 3 stuff. At the beginning of the new trailer, they start with a scene of Daredevil and Jessica Jones. He's in his black costume. You get a much better look at him in broad daylight in how it's basically just the old red suit from Season 1. It's like the exact same one that he wore in Season 1 that he's just darkened to be black for stealth. Cannot wait to hear all the Double D's jokes. It's going to be really weird for people that do not watch Daredevil and have no idea about the Double D's on his chest. Cannot wait to hear everybody's explanation that they're not degenerates just because they like Double D's.
Ah, I see. You're a man of culture as well.
We get another longer version of the Dex scene with Bullseye going into the diner. When he says, doesn't everybody, I think he's talking to the waitress who's asking him about the milkshake. Doesn't everybody love milkshakes? Because he seems so pleased with himself when he finally gets that milkshake. And we get a much longer scene during a completely different episode of him in his Bullseye suit. This is a version of a comic book suit. It's not the Bullseye comic book suit that everybody wants to see him in, like the more classic suit, but it is a more modern version of a comic book suit that he wore at one point. And you notice Bullseye is just absolutely laying out a lot of the anti-vigilante task force. This gets more to the idea where I talked about in previous trailer videos that Bullseye and Daredevil will actually work together like the enemy of my enemy is my friend, because both of them absolutely hate each other. Daredevil still blames him for Foggy's death because he did kill Foggy, like we know that, or we think that he killed Foggy. There's still a lot of mystery about that because there are a lot of new scenes with Foggy that they filmed for Season 2, but they're technically flashbacks. I made a bunch of jokes about that in previous videos, like there are tens of us out there that are Foggy truthers and believe that he's secretly still alive out there, and they'll reveal it in Season 3. So Bullseye also still hates Daredevil for pushing him off the rooftop and almost killing him. We get way more scenes of Dex inside the kitchen, which I talked about in the last trailer video, like, what is he cooking? What is he cooking? The kitchen is literally like the most dangerous place that Dex could be. It is literally like a Jujutsu Kaisen domain expansion kind of situation when he's inside a kitchen with all these different utensils. We get another new scene of Matthew Lillard's Mr. Charles villain character. He's more of an antagonist to Kingpin. He is a character from the comics. He's a Roxxon-related character. He works for Roxxon. They're meant to be a relatively sinister corporation inside the MCU. They have shown up all over Marvel TV, all over the Marvel movies, even back during the Marvel TV era where it was less connected, like kind of connected, but not really connected to the Marvel movies. So usually the way their company manifests in the MCU is either through like evil corporate overlords or just common gas stations because resources company. Probably the only thing they haven't really done with Roxanne yet, the place they haven't gone yet, is in the movies. They haven't done Dario Agger, the CEO of the company, who does become a Minotaur. Then there's another scene of Daredevil inside someone's house or like an apartment taking someone down. It seems like it might be connected to the place where Matthew Lillard's Mr. Charles character was, but we will see. It seems like he's going to be all over the city during season 2. There's another scene of the docks exploding everywhere, like just a bunch of cargo exploding. You remember the docks were a big deal during season 1. They're basically the place the Kingpin is fixing up and using to launder all of his money, basically like the hub of all of his illegal traffic. Daredevil seems like he thinks that shutting it down will help shut Kingpin down. Then it kind of looks like the anti-vigilante task force comes to the place where Daredevil and Jessica Jones were hiding out because there's a giant hole in the wall behind them that looks just like the hole in the wall where they're dancing together listening to records. I think for a big part of the season, they're on the DL hiding out because there's all these wanted posters for Matt Murdock, like missing posters, but also wanted posters for Daredevil. I love the way they're marketing it because they're putting the posters right next to each other and he literally looks the same under the mask. So there's been a lot of memes and jokes people posting. Why does my lawyer look just like Daredevil? You remember the Kingpin does know Daredevil's secret. He is Matt Murdock, but the public at large in New York City does not know the secret. One of the other new details we spotted too is during the Jessica Jones scenes in the warehouse where she's taking out all these goons, you notice there's OXE logos on some of the boxes showing the connection between Kingpin and Val's OXE group, if you remember from the Thunderbolts movie. Val used her resources as the owner, the head of the OXE company, when she wasn't the head of the CIA, to create the Sentry character. Basically, she also has nearly unlimited resources too. The MCU used them as kind of a Blackwater type of paramilitary organization that just had their hands in all kinds of pies, really shady stuff, wars all over the globe. There are also a lot of questions about the timeline of the Thunderbolt movie with what the Sentry and the Void did and Daredevil Born Again Season 1 and Season 2. My assumption is they're just going to weave between those things and they won't really address that during Season 2 too much. But if it wasn't clear, Daredevil, Spider-Man were around when the Void covered New York City, absorbed New York City into the Void. We get another real quick action scene of Karen Page inside a room taking out what seemed like a bunch of goons, so she does get a couple action scenes. There were some scenes in the previous trailers of Matt Murdock training her to fight a little bit. I think for the idea that she would be fighting somebody or some people at some point during the season. It makes sense. They're making her a way bigger character during season 2. They would give her at least a couple action scenes. We also saw a couple new clips of her with the gun protecting tiny baby White Tiger too during this season. So there'll be more scenes of tiny baby White Tiger as well too. But I don't know that she's taken up the mantle of White Tiger yet at this point because she's so young. We also get another scene of her talking through some bars inside a cell after she's been arrested saying, I kind of like it. Not clear who she's talking to, if it's Kingpin or someone else, because we did see Kingpin walking past a couple different cells. So maybe they just capture her and he tries to find more information on Matt Murdock because he really wants Matt Murdock. You remember that Karen Page and Kingpin have their own special history going back to the very first episode of the very first season. She worked for one of his shell companies that was doing all kinds of shady stuff, laundering money. One of her co-workers died and they tried to blame it on her, and then Matt Murdock represented her, creating the beginning of their relationship as well too. Moving on to all the Defenders, Luke Cage, Iron Fist stuff, Jessica Henwick, Colleen Wing herself, said that she was actually visiting the set of Daredevil Born Again Season 2 while they were still filming a while ago, but she did claim, or she tried to claim, that she wasn't going to appear as Colleen Wing during Season 2. But if she's visiting this set, visiting all the characters, posting things, you also see Finn Jones posting on a lot of people's Instagrams that are doing Daredevil Season 2 stuff, like he's also trying to get on the action too. It really does seem like they want you to believe that we're at least going to hear about them and what they're doing during the events of Season 2, like Matt will start talking about his friends because he's putting his army together, and then we'll finally see them, even if it's not a cameo by the end of Season 2, at least by the beginning of Season 3. I've already talked a lot about Luke Cage coming back. Mike Coulter has been on a couple different podcasts. He started finally saying, it feels like it's time to come back. That's usually the kind of thing you say when you're already in talks or you already signed a contract to come back, and they're finally letting him start to talk about it a little bit more. People have been asking him to come back as Luke Cage since well before the pandemic, like right after they actually canceled all the Marvel Netflix series and tried to absorb Marvel TV into Marvel Studios. You also remember when that first happened, he was actually adamant that he was probably not going to come back, and it felt like his time as Luke Cage was done. There wasn't a good story. Then all of a sudden, like just in the last year or two, he's like, you know what? It feels like it's time to come back. It feels like what happened is that behind the scenes, Kevin Feige and the Marvel people just made nice, like they made up for canceling the show back in the day, and they just came up with a good enough story that he was actually convinced to come back and gave him a big enough dump truck of money.
You're right, though. Money is power.
When it comes to Iron Fist, Finn Jones has just been asking for a chance to redeem himself as the character going forward, but I do think that Marvel does have plans to change Iron Fist's story going forward because they have Shang-Chi now, who's kind of taken the place that Iron Fist would normally occupy. Personally, I would love to see a Shang-Chi versus Iron Fist kind of story, but Shang-Chi is more like their movie martial arts-based character. I'm not expecting to see a ton of Iron Fist in the movies, but I do think that eventually Marvel does probably want to introduce the Lin Lee version of Iron Fist, but currently right now, we still have two versions of Iron Fist. There's Colleen Wing, who now has the power of the Iron Fist, as well as Finn Jones, Danny Rand, who still has the power of the Iron Fist. So at some point, they have to find a way to transition between the two of them to Lin Lee if they do want to use the Lin Lee character going forward. Everybody post all your reactions in the comments below and let me know which other characters you want to see come back. Mostly people talk about Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. characters like Chloe Bennett coming back as Quake, but there are a lot of others like Cloak and Dagger characters, they're the Runaways characters, so we'll see what Marvel does with a lot of them in the next several years when they reboot the MCU. There's a bunch of really big stuff coming up. We have Invincible Season 4 episodes starting next week. I'll be doing weekly videos for that. We also have Daredevil Born Again Season 2 episodes, The Boys Season 5 episodes, and supposedly people believe that we're going to get the first Spider-Man Brand New Day official HD version of the trailer that has not been leaked. Maybe it'll still leak a couple days early, but if it does actually drop next week, I will do a new Spider-Man video for that. So be sure to enable alerts for my channel so you don't miss any of that. Everybody click here for my leaked version of the Spider-Man Brand New Day trailer. I've already done a full video for that, and click here for all my other Daredevil videos. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.